Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is John Darman. I'll be your host today for what I think you'll find is an interesting and informative discussion. We'll be talking about major changes that empower our viewers and give them choices they've never had before. Choices that can save them money while having a positive effect on the environment and on local economies. Changes that also offer new ways for our viewers to earn money in a very tough economy. I'm talking about deregulation of the energy industry and opportunities that Warren Buffett has said will result in the largest transfer of wealth in history. We're fortunate to be joined here today by one of the country's foremost experts on energy deregulation, Michael Fallquist. Michael is the founder and Chief Executive Officer of Viridian, a green energy company headquartered in Connecticut. Viridian is one of the fastest growing companies in America. And Michael's in Massachusetts because as of June 1st, for the first time, Viridian is offering these greener energy products to consumers and businesses in our state. Michael, thank you for being with us today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're really happy you're here. Let's start by providing some context. Tell us about energy deregulation. What's going on? What's changed? What does it mean for consumers in Massachusetts, and why should they care?
Well, I think simply put, energy deregulation is really about choice. People in America are familiar historically with things like the deregulation of the airline industry, deregulation of the telephone industry. Well, about the mid-90s, the government really set in motion the plans to deregulate the energy industry. So really what that is that's effectively breaking up of the monopoly that existed, which was a monopoly from the supply as well as the delivery of your energy. And so what that effectively did is it maintained, from a competitive perspective, it maintained the utilities monopoly on the delivery side. So from a consumer's perspective, nothing really changes at the end of the day. They still have that guaranteed reliability. They still call the same utility when their power goes out. So it provides that comfort. But what it also did is from a supply perspective, the actual supply of energy, that was deregulated, and that allowed companies like Viridian to compete for customers' business on a whole range of value propositions. So energy deregulation, really simply put, is about choice. It's about choice and allowing the consumers to make a choice based on value proposition without actually having to sacrifice what matters most, which is the reliability of the product.
Great. So how many states have approved deregulation, and are consumers in those states aware that they have this choice you're talking about of their energy supplier?
So deregulation, there's roughly about half of the states in the country have deregulated some form of energy supply, whether it be on the electricity or the natural gas side of the house. Now, in terms of promoting it, generally it kind of varies state by state. Certain states have taken a very proactive approach to promoting deregulation, and there's budgets where there's a real investment in consumer education. Other states, it's much more driven by the suppliers entering the market and the suppliers getting there and reaching customers through whatever their marketing medium is. Here in Massachusetts, it's actually a state that's deregulated from a gas and an electricity perspective.
It's interesting because I think talking to people about this in preparation, a lot of people don't know that Massachusetts is deregulated, and I gather it has been for a period of time.
Yeah, so Massachusetts has been deregulated now here for quite a few years. It's been a state that for any number of competitive reasons hasn't been a state that's been real attractive to suppliers to date. From our perspective, we think Massachusetts is a great state, obviously, as a green energy supplier and a marketplace where the average consumer here cares about our core belief, which is green energy. It's a great market for us, and we're really excited to be here.
Well, there are things in your background that must have led to your interest in this. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got interested in the energy field, and then eventually what the opportunity was you saw that led to you creating Viridian?
Yeah, it's interesting. The I just touched on sort of Massachusetts being a great market for us because it's people believe in our product, which is the green energy sustainability side of it. Well, for me personally, founding the company, my interest in green energy and, well, I guess just sustainability more broadly dates back to my childhood. I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, in Seattle, and when you grow up in Seattle or anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, sustainability really just is part of your DNA.
Yeah.
It's who you are. And so for me, it's always been a passion, whether it be recycling or just doing my part to make sure that I'm making a positive impact on the environment. And so really, as my career progressed from early days doing consulting through to energy and into the retail energy segment, I saw this massive opportunity in energy deregulation. It was an opportunity that you could really provide a lot of value to the customers. And then sort of every now and then in your life you get a really great idea. And for me it was this sort of idea that combined a skill set of mine with a passion I have, which is green energy.
That's great.
And it was really the opportunity to sort of deliver that core value proposition that most suppliers try and do, which is delivering people savings, but also do it while providing a higher quality green energy. And for me, it's that crossroads of what I'm good at combined with my passion. And there's nothing, I feel so lucky to have had that one moment in time to have a great idea.
It's great. I mean, a lot of people don't ever have that moment and end up not that happy with what they're doing. It's one of the things I've told my kids is try to find something you're passionate about that you also can be capable of, and clearly you've done that. Tell us about Viridian, and when did you start the company, and where are you in business currently?
So I started the company sort of late 2009. We've today offer service. Massachusetts is our 7th state that we offer service in. We're currently providing service to customers in Connecticut, which was our first state, Pennsylvania, New York, Maryland, New Jersey, Illinois, and Massachusetts. We've kind of got a great Northeast footprint. Our value proposition is affordable green energy. It's the ability for people no longer to have to choose between, hey, I want to save a few bucks on my electricity, and I really want to support and be a part of a mission. I want to do my part to change the environment.
There are so many third-party providers who have come into some of those states and have come into Massachusetts. Is that last part what really makes Viridian unique? Is that how you're different from your competitors?
Well, so in terms of a value proposition and who we are as a company, I would say that the affordably green energy, we created that category. We were the first to do it. We were the first to combine it. Since then, there's been quite a few companies who have replicated our value proposition, but we just think that's great because if everybody mimicked our value proposition, that just raises the bar for everybody and has an overall larger impact on the environment. So we couldn't be more excited about that. But what actually differentiates Viridian, I'd say, is two things. It's the mission and it's how we go to market. And those two are sort of linked in a way that's beyond really comprehension because the mission, the sustainability, our commitment to green energy, our commitment to local green energy, when you combine that with a distribution model of network marketing, and you have people who are selling your product, but they're not just selling a product, they're selling a product that they're passionate about, that they love, that they're excited about, and I think that's what differentiates us from all the competitors. You can't get a customer excited about a product by a mailer. You can get a customer excited about a product and what they're doing by having their friend talk to them about it. Not only talk to them about it, but talk to them with a level of passion and excitement for the impact they're making.
We're going to talk more about your marketing model in a few minutes, but let me back up to what specific products do you offer and why?
So we are, we really offer two types of products. We offer electricity and natural gas. From an electricity perspective, we offer two products. Our core product is what's called an everyday green product. It's a 20% renewable product. That's 20% above whatever minimum standard for green content that any local state would have.
So are those different in different states?
Correct. Every state has a different, what's called a renewable portfolio standard. And so that is the state's way of mandating that all utility companies, whether it be a competitive supplier or the local incumbent, has to provide a certain amount of electricity supply that's sourced from green energy in their delivery to their customers. So
what's the standard in Massachusetts for that?
so the standard in Massachusetts,
7, I think, or
yeah, I think it's about 6 or 7%.
and so the product that you would be selling, the 20% product, is actually therefore 26 or 27%.
Yeah, so from a marketing perspective, we only talk about the incremental value
Yeah.
because everybody has to provide the same 6 or
I see.
7%. So we like to talk about it as the incremental 20% above and beyond what all the competitors are providing.
That's great.
Now, for customers who want to do more, we obviously have our Pure Green product, which is a Greenie certified 100% wind energy product, and that is just sort of a flagship product for those who really want to take their commitment to the next level.
And is the financial implication of that choice different?
Yeah, right. So the Pure Green product is going to be slightly more expensive on average, but there's still opportunities to get that product at a great value.
And it's still attractive in relation to brown, whether it's got doesn't necessarily have the spread that the normal product would have on average, but it's still attractive enough to make it possible for people to say, yeah, they want to come in.
Yeah, I think for those who choose the Pure Green product, I think you are choosing that really because you believe in what we're all about, and you believe you really want to do your part.
What are the sources of green energy?
Okay, sources of green energy. So one of the things that really makes us different as a company, and I think is so exciting about how we do business and why people should want to do business with us, is our transparency. And so when we talk about transparency, and it's sort of a long-winded way to answer your question.
Take your time.
We think about it in terms of our core product offering, which is green energy, being just open, authentic, and transparent with all of our customers. So we actually produce a sustainability report every year, which is audited by Ernst & Young, which shows sort of where all of our sources come from, and the different types of sources we have. So it details the wind resources or the solar resources or the biomass resources. So you as a customer, what's exciting for you as a customer is you can actually look in the year following delivery and say, gosh, part of my supply came from the biomass plant down the street or the windmills I drive by every day. And I think that's such a neat part of what differentiates us in the market. So when we talk about sort of our commitment and our, where do our resources come from, we actually have a commitment to quality in a couple different ways. First is just it has to be a class 1 or tier 1 resource in the market we sell the product in. So every state has a slightly different definition, but in general, what that's going to consist of mostly is things like solar and wind, hydro, sort of the sort of top tier 1 renewable resources. So the vast majority of the 20% is going to come from those resources.
Are you buying that? I think you're buying that locally as much as you can, which is one of the ways you're talking about helping local economies.
Correct. So we define local as sort of either on the electricity grid or the neighboring electricity grid. So for a lot of our states, we purchase. Pennsylvania is a market that has a lot of resources that we purchase out of. We purchase a lot of our resources right here from Massachusetts and obviously from Connecticut as well. We believe that sort of commitment to the local side of it is not only something that has a lot of value to people, but it's something they should really care about.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to say I'm buying green energy, but if you're effectively purchasing renewable energy certificates that were produced in Texas, it's not really relevant as much to you today as a consumer. And I think what's neat about our product is you get all the upside of doing your part, but you also have this secondary value proposition, which you don't think about when you buy energy, of feeling good about helping the local economy that you're a part of.
There seems to be a lot to feel good here about. That must be additional administrative work for you guys to be able to purchase that way and pay attention to that, but it certainly helps the consumer feel better about what they're doing.
And I think that's we spend a lot of time exactly working through and understanding where our supply is coming from to make sure that we deliver on that value proposition. And I think what was so neat this year in the sustainability report was having Ernst & Young audit our sustainability report, because that, in the first year, was us saying, hey, here, take a look at what we've done. Take a look, be proud. As a customer, be proud. As an associate, be proud. As a regulator, we're happy to show you. But this year, to have Ernst & Young audit it just was such a substantial seal of approval on that we're doing business the right way,
Yes.
and they're here to validate that.
Well, it sounds like an exciting time. As of June 1st, your electricity is available in Massachusetts. Tell us about the launch. What's involved?
Wow. Not a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
And a lot of testing.
Yeah.
And really, it's funny. We have our launch event tomorrow, and we have our big dinner tonight with some of our key leaders in the market. And the first thing out of my mouth is going to be some sort of a joke about we're finally here, because we've been so excited about this market for so long, having the having a market that's consistent with who we are as a company and our DNA. Mm-hmm. And so to finally be at the point where we're launching this market after really a year plus of trying to get here feels great. Because when you actually think about this is an industry where you not only need regulatory approval at the federal level, at the state level, but then you also have to have approval with all the different utilities and go through testing and certification and make sure that you pass data in a way that meets their standards. So it's a long process to get here, in addition to sort of all the tremendous work that the corporate staff did in terms of getting marketing materials done. There's some just really exciting things that we've got coming up here in the next sort of few weeks as we launch this market.
Yeah, I can feel it, and everybody that is associated with the launch, they have been waiting, and now they're free to run, and you can really feel that kind of energy. Yeah. Speaking of all the work that is done in the negotiations with utilities, are you available everywhere in Massachusetts as of June 1st, or what kind of coverage do you have?
So we're launching initially in the NSTAR and the National Grid markets.
Well, those are two big markets.
Too big, absolutely. I mean, those markets roughly represent about 90% of the overall footprint. We're actively evaluating WMECO, which would be another market, kind of make up the balance of the state. Our goal in states is to be everywhere we can provide service. It just worked out this time that the first two markets we were launching were National Grid and NSTAR, and really to get to launch a market successfully, you want to have as much coverage as possible. And those two giving us sort of each roughly 45% of the market was pretty exciting to be able to get those and launch them together on June 1st.
That's great. Well, keep after WMECO. A lot of the Western Mass folks are particularly interested in that one. But you got 9 out of 10 covered, and that's great. I know your primary focus is residential consumers, but I know you are open to offering greener product at a savings to businesses as well. Can you talk about the relative focus and little business, big business? Where are you on all of that?
So the company grew up really as being a residential electricity supplier, green electricity supplier. One of the things we've realized is there's as much of an interest in the sort of small business community as there is in the residential community to support change. And what's neat about those customers is, every small business customer is sort of the impact, the equivalency of sort of 5 to 10 residential customers, just because their usage is bigger. Your dry cleaner uses 10 times more than your average residential customer. So in terms of reaching the objectives as we want as a company, which is individual choice, collective impact, we want to make as big of an impact as possible. We have a strategic focus to expand our service offerings in that segment. Now, I say that, but we currently offer a full suite of products to residential and small commercial businesses.
Oh, good.
They can buy our products, but what I'm really foreshadowing and what we're really excited about is that we've been investing a lot of resources in the commercial product and providing a product that is even more competitive for commercial customers to get affordable green energy. So there's a product there for commercial customers today, but there's going to be a product that is even more compelling for them in the near future.
That's great, because it's so consistent with your mission, and as you say, the impact really will be magnified significantly. Phenomenal. This proposition of going green is something that everybody says they want to do. And in Massachusetts, as you said, particularly a hotbed for that. And people are very passionate about it, and I believe they're sincere. Yet in almost every case, their experience has been that green costs more, which is what's so powerful about your offering. But I must say, with you guys, getting to pick a greener energy supply and save money over time almost doesn't seem possible given all that experience. How are you able to do that?
Well, it's a great question, and it's a question that you can understand the consumer's concerned about, because you're right, absolutely. It seems like it too good to be true. How can I get these sort of competing value propositions? From a company perspective, we really made a decision that we were going to effectively accept a lower profit margin.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it boils down to. I'd love to sit here and say that I'm that much better than all the other companies out there, but really what it boils down to is we've said that we believe that the impact we're making is worth more than any sort of incremental profit, because the 20% of green electricity we buy absolutely costs more than the brown energy. And so it's who we are. It's replicating my DNA and putting it into the company.
Yeah, so it's a strategic imperative that's based in your passion and mission.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it'll take a while for the bigger companies to catch up with that, and you're going to be big by the time they do.
Well, it's interesting. I talked about some of the competitors, sort of big and small, who have replicated our value proposition. And I talked about how that we welcome the competition, we love it because it raises the bar for everybody. But I think what's different about how they do it and we do it is it's not really in the DNA of who they are.
Yeah.
There's so much more to Viridian than energy supply. And I think we'll eventually talk about it, but all of our local and global sustainability initiatives, this company is just it's a vehicle for doing good, and that's exciting.
And that does separate you from some folks who may come grudgingly to the proposition.
Absolutely.
In terms of how that's going to manifest with the consumer as well.
To them, it's a business decision.
Yeah.
For us, it's a good business decision.
But it's a calling.
But based in who we are.
Yeah.
And something if you don't believe it, you're not going to be selling it very well.
It's almost so unbelievable that I have to be marginally impolite and say people aren't that familiar with Viridian. No offense intended, but how do they know they can believe you?
Well, I think what's good for the consumer, and where we started the conversation about deregulation, deregulation is effectively set up to protect the consumer. So you have sort of the core tenet of what people want to believe in, or what people need from an electricity provider, which is reliability. And so that's still a monopoly with your utility. So you're not going to leave your utility for delivery of that product and reliability of the product. So you're protected there. Now, in terms of how we do business, we're regulated by federal regulators. We're regulated by state regulators. Our marketing messages are scrutinized by attorney generals. We have to. We exist in a market that's extremely highly regulated. We have to report our prices. There's so much transparency that's required in our industry.
And I guess the data's published, so if people want to check it out, it's available to them in things like your sustainability report, but also with the utility commissions, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the sort of fun things about our success, or one of the things I'm most proud of about our success, in addition to all the great things we're doing, but is that we've built this company, one of the fastest growing energy companies out there, and we've built it with really the fewest complaints of any sort of similarly sized company.
That's great.
In 2010, we were rated the #1 supplier in all of Connecticut in terms of a ratio of complaints to customers. In 2011, which the report is coming out, I think, pretty soon, we expect to be ranked #1 again. So, when you look at us and you look at the scorecards, and a couple of the states actually have lists the number of complaints by suppliers, I would encourage anybody who's shopping in this market to look at it, because that tells you as a customer that the expectations of that customer are being managed. Not that the customer's going to stay with you forever, but as long as they stay with you, they felt like they got what they were sold. And that's so, that's a great scorecard that we are so proud of as a company.
Yeah, it's the Are You Keeping Your Promise scorecard.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Which is invaluable.
I think you say consumers can save money over time or on an annual basis, but folks are billed monthly. Do I infer from that there may be some months where the relationship shifts and you're not necessarily less expensive?
So we, like we said, we're in the business of doing everything we can to provide people savings over time. If you look at our historical rate charts, we've done that across the board.
In all the markets where you compete?
In certain states, we provided more savings, and that's just because the market fundamentals are different in every state.
Yep. But always savings.
Yeah, right.
That's
We've always been able to deliver savings. And so when we talk about our value proposition, we like people to look back and see that that's sort of that's the savings that they should get excited about, or that's sort of our commitment while delivering this green energy. But we always make sure that we tell customers, because when we talked about complaints a second ago, the reason we're very upfront with customers, whether it's any sort of marketing materials or anything, to show that it can go above the utility, because there's price spikes that we as a third-party supplier deal with that the utility may not, just based on how they procure their energy over a longer period of time. So it's we're just very clear with customers to let them know that there may be months you're higher, there may be months lower, but our value proposition to you is this higher quality green energy, that 15 times more powerful than recycling, and against the backdrop of, hey, we're going to save you money over time. That's our goal. That's what we're trying to do. And when you compare it historically, that's the proof's in the pudding.
That's great. And you mentioned the impact versus household recycling is significantly better, and the consumer has to do even less, obviously, to take advantage of this one than
Very
with
little.
household recycling. But it doesn't seem that significant necessarily when one home switches over. But can you speak a little to the collective impact this is having? Is it significant?
Last year in our sustainability report, the numbers were phenomenal in terms of the pounds of CO2 that we took out of the air. Whether you can equate that to bottles recycled or seedlings planted, the numbers are really mind-boggling in terms of the impact that we did last year, and we've grown this year. And so you have, the individual person, whether their impact of switching is 5 seedlings planting or 25 seedlings planting, depending on usage and state and all these factors that actually show your impact, because your impact is a factor of a couple different things. Your consumption, clearly, but it's also an impact of what the mix of energy that you'd be buying otherwise.
Yes.
Because if you go to the Midwest, where you have a lot more coal-fired generation, the impact's going to be higher in a state like Illinois, because a lot of their energy comes from coal-fired generation. Whereas if you come to more of the Northeast states where you have a higher propensity of natural gas, the impact actually of switching to Viridian is lower, because you're replacing a fuel that's already relatively clean, albeit a fossil fuel.
I think I had seen it, so it's bigger in states that are browner.
Right,
if
correct.
You will, but I think
bigger and brown go together.
Yeah. I had seen, I think in your materials, some staggering figures like 200 million pounds of carbon emissions avoided, which is the equivalent of planting 2 million trees, or taking 18,000 cars off the road, or recycling more than 1 billion 2-liter bottles. So it adds up. Huh?
Yeah, no, it starts with just one house, right? And it's, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you can penetrate that small commercial market, every one of those we get are 10 times what a residential is. So you can sort of see the staggering sort of domino effect that happens.
Yeah, and a magnifier too.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your materials, you say this isn't just about positive environmental impact. It also has the potential to be a major driver of the renewable industries development. Can you speak to how that works?
Yeah, so when we're out there purchasing green energy, what you're really buying is you're buying, let me actually take a step back. When a windmill produces a megawatt of power, it has actually two byproducts. One is the actual electricity that's delivered to the grid. And that electricity, when it's on the grid, is no different than any other electricity, because an electron is an electron is an electron. You can't tell them different when they're on the grid. But what it also produces is what's called a renewable energy certificate, which is the validation and actually the renewable attributes of that energy supply. So that renewable energy certificate, which is a federally run program, basically tells you the resource, the date produced, the location, all the inputs that are important that go into sort of our sustainability reports and are reporting to our customers that, hey, we're buying green energy, because that's the attributes that's sort of associated with that power.
It's like a certificate of authenticity with a baseball.
Absolutely. Make sure it's not counterfeit.
Yeah.
And so this sort of what that really does sort of long term for the market is, as you get more and more people buying renewable energy certificates, it's like any commodity market or any market that you'd be familiar with a product. If your demand goes up, your price goes up. And so when we talk about making long-term environmental change, the more RECs that are purchased, the more prices go up. The more prices go up, the more efficient, or I guess the more cost-effective, or the higher return on investment that the next developer coming down the road saying, gosh, am I going to build a brown plant or windmills? And so when you compare them side by side from an economics perspective, the windmills has not only the cost of power that's delivered, which is going to be generally the same for both green and brown, but it has this additional attribute. So as you can drive that additional attribute, which is the RECs, from $5 to $10 to $20 because of demand increasing, what that's doing is it's creating a long-term price signal. It's creating a long-term price signal that means you're going to have more and more green energy developed over time, which is really what we want.
Because it's attractive for the people who are thinking about building additional green energy and more certain.
Correct. So you have, because what they're doing, right, and this may be way too much sort of renewable energy project finance 101, but they're effectively, when they go to finance that project, they're selling the forward value of both the power as well as the renewable energy certificate. So the higher that value, the easier it is to get financing, the more likely they're going to build a green plant over a brown plant.
So this will accelerate the availability of green energy over time.
The more people who do this, whether it's us or our competitors who raise that bar,
It's good for everybody.
You're going to have just a greener mix of fuel in the future.
Yep. Great. Once consumers are aware they have a choice, your proposition, as we've been talking, seems to be really compelling. Greener energy at a savings. But it's interesting, when I, in preparation for this, was talking to friends and family about Viridian and about the proposition, it creates a series of concerns or questions that I wanted to share with you, because I believe that they may be misperceptions, and wanted to give you a chance to knock them down so that people know they're not wrestling with those when they think about whether to come in or not. So let me walk you through those. The first thing is that people assume it must be really complicated to enroll with Viridian and switch from the utility and all of that. Is the process difficult? Is it complicated?
No, the process is actually incredibly easy. It really takes about 5 minutes. You can do it either online or by phone or by paper application, and all you need is a copy of a recent utility bill, because that has the account numbers we need to switch the account.
And it only takes a few minutes, huh?
Yeah, it's really simple. It's basic information about where you live and your name and your account number.
It's great, and you're in.
You're in.
When they're also worried that they'll have to pay to enroll, do they?
Right. There's no fees to enroll. Enrollment's free. Really, when you go on the website to choose, it's really about choosing the product that's right for you, whether it's a variable or fixed product, the 20% everyday green or the 100% pure green. It's just about choice, not about fees.
Yeah, I really think that's amazing that people need to register at that point. It's easy, and they're not paying a thing to be able to take advantage of this proposition. They're also worried, and I think they get confused on this point, but you explained the supply side versus delivery and servicing within the industry. They think they're changing utilities, and they're concerned because they've been with NSTAR, they've been with National Grid for a long time, and a tornado goes through here, and those folks are out there fixing the lines, and they're just concerned that they must be switching to somebody else. That isn't the case, is it?
Yeah, so it's really, the way the consumer needs to think about it is, you're actually not switching away from utility. You're just choosing a different provider of electricity service. So the utility still will charge you for delivery fees just the same as they always have. They'll still service your account just the same as you always have. If you have an outage, you still call the utility, because they're the ones who have the trucks. In fact, I'm a Viridian customer, and I'm in the Connecticut Light and Power territory, and they take care of our house just the same as they take care of everybody else.
No new lines, no new equipment.
I just love that story, because when I got into retail energy, my wife, I said, hey, we're going to switch companies. And she's like, really? Do I have to be here for the guys to put new lines to our home? And I just say that because it's my wife is an incredibly educated woman, but that's such a common misperception.
Sure.
The delivery is still that regulated monopoly. We just effectively deliver them our power, and then they deliver it to the homes.
Yeah, and in fact, as someone pointed out to me recently, you're not a utility. You're an energy provider.
Right. We are a
third-party energy provider that
energy
supplies
supplier.
to the utility.
Correct.
Right.
But I think a distinction there that's really important is that we are licensed. We are under the Federal Power Act, treated actually like a utility. So from a perspective of the customer, while we're not a utility, we are licensed. That's just an important distinction.
I think so too, and thanks for putting it in. But in terms of reliability, nobody's complaining who's been with you either, which is, as you said, the best proof is sort of in seeing that. Do they have to sign long-term contracts? They're concerned that with a lot of the things that got deregulated, now suddenly they're into 2-year contracts and sizable cancellation penalties if they aren't satisfied or if they see something better and decide they want to switch. How's it all work around that?
So for our standard variable rate product, it's a month-to-month product, and that's a product that the customer, as I like to say, we have to win your business every month, because if you're not satisfied as a customer, you don't feel like we've had the value prop, you can choose another company. And we feel confident in having that product because at the end of the day, we think we are going to win your business because you're going to like the green energy you're getting. You're also going to like our rates over time. Yep. Our fixed rate products do come with a term commitment. It's generally a $50 cancellation fee, so it's
not that substantial.
It's not too steep, and that customer, frankly, is choosing that product because they want to help the environment and they really want price certainty. So that hopefully that customer isn't leaving us anyways because we're not changing the rate on them.
Right, and they're getting 100% and they're getting it out of you. Well, the utility, and this was an odd one, but I understood why somebody would ask. They say, okay, well, so they're changing the supplier. I get that now. It's not changing the utility. Will the utility be hurt in any sense or sort of resentful of the fact you switched and therefore your service quality is going to change or any of that?
So, no. So the way deregulation works is that the utility actually isn't making any money on the supply of electricity. The utility makes all their money on the delivery, which they get a regulated return, and that is their they still have to provide that. They're still the monopoly provider on that. So the utility really should be indifferent. In many markets, actually, the utility is very open about encouraging people to switch. They post things on their websites that tell customers all about, it's a great program.
So the consumer can green the grid, save money over time. It's easy to do. It costs them nothing. They can cancel at any time. It all seems so compelling. I guess the best proof is, how are you doing? How are you doing in the marketplace?
Well, that's the funny. I love that sort of intro because we sort of coined the phrase. It's sort of the biggest no-brainer in history, and it is really true. We, as a company, feel like we've grown faster than anybody else. We're a top 25 largest supplier in the country, which we're really proud of because a lot of people on that list are utility affiliates. So we're competing with the biggest of the big, and we've done it, in a really short period of time. So that value proposition, people are just buying into it and getting excited about it because at the end of the day, we're all people who want to do our part. We want to, and Viridian is really an enabler. It's an enabler where people can say, gosh, this was easy to do. Didn't cost me any money. Nothing changed, except now I'm getting green energy and saving money over time. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's great. And your growth reflects it. I want to switch gears a bit and bring you to what you call Viridian's sustainability initiatives. Your commitment to giving back both at the local and global level is, in my experience, unusual relative to most companies. Let's start with the local focus. Tell me a little bit about the various kind of projects you encourage your associates, friends, and family, and folks who are living in the areas in which you're doing business to get involved with.
Well, I think it's just a key tenet of who we are is that we view ourselves as sort of a catalyst in these communities, right? Because we have a platform where we're serving a lot of customers, and we have a lot of sales associates in those communities. So we view our platform to do good in the local community as tantamount to who we are as a company. And so what we've done is we effectively go out to our associates and say, hey, tell us an activity you want to do in the local community. And it ranges from beach cleanups to, we did a zoo cleanup here in Massachusetts a couple months ago, to tree planting, to working with a community garden. So the range of things we'll do, we did a book drive. The range of sort of sustainability events we'll do is broad, and it's what's neat about them is they're actually driven by our associates, organized by us. Corporate resources are provided. We fund them in terms of the, everything from the simple things of garbage bags, but in certain instances we need to buy things for the project. And so it's a sort of neat thing, and again, it comes down to having the platform to do it. Yeah. And a company that cares about it, that's willing to send their CEO, that's willing to send their any one of the executive team. And that's what's so neat about it, is it's something that the community can get behind.
I know you did a big project cleaning up and planting in Springfield, but let me, as part of that, and it really does make you guys unique in my experience, but let me broaden it a bit more to talk about, you've got words 7 continents in 7 years. That speaks more to your global focus. Can you speak a little about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a view that even though we're a domestic business, and aspirations to be all over North America, we have deregulated markets, and who knows from where beyond that. But we believe that there is a unique opportunity for us to sort of be an environmental steward on a much larger macro level. So we set a goal as a company that we wanted to do our part on 7 continents in 7 years. It's a great thing from us as a company, because it gives us a real purpose. Yeah. It gives us a defined plan for what we want to do, and really measurable goals that we can look back and say, hey, we accomplished. It's been this sort of a neat brainchild idea we had to say, gosh, how do we take the local and really put it on a bigger level? And so we came up with the concept. It's core to who we are. What's neat about it is that we involve the people, the sales associates who are most successful in selling our product. We get to take them around the world, and we get to effectively give them an experience where there's no other time in life you would get this sort of volunteerism, which is really what it is. The impact to plant trees in the Amazon, or put solar panels on a medical facility in Ghana.
Well, speaking of that, I know you did reforestation in the Amazon 2 years ago, and this year you did go to Ghana. We've got a couple of short videos that capture some of those amazing moments from Ghana that we'd like to share with our viewers, and so let's take a look at those.
Great.
Right behind us is the newly built medical facility, and we're right now assembling the solar panels to go up on the roof.
In a place like this, the community members have to provide a place for the service, so that the districts to provide them with a nurse who can manage them with their minor ailments. I always wanted to be a nurse, especially when the person is in pain and you help the person out of the pain, and the next moment you see the person able to do something, you just feel happy. I don't know how to express that feeling, but that feeling is within you. You know that at least you've impacted something into somebody's life. We keep our vaccines in the fridge. When the power goes off, we can't use the medicine again. You just have to dispose it off into the garbage.
In order to have a legitimate hospital with antibiotics and things that need to be refrigerated, we had to create a battery backup so that we could use the solar, the renewable energy that's always going to be there, always charging the battery, so that we lose electricity off the grid. The battery kicks in from the solar and keeps the vaccinations and the medicines that are so crucial for everyone's health, keeps them sustained and in supply. Lower on this side, right? I got this side.
Oh, the crew is fantastic. We love their passion and their joy of coming in and helping the children and helping the communities.
Here we are. It's the final hurrah. 3 hours, 4 hours of the fruits of our labor. Wires running down the roof into the health facility. Batteries already charged. Let there be light.
We are Generation V! Our project was to create a playground, merry-go-round.
All these parts in the generator were in a hut, right about 500 yards down that way. We had to carry all the parts up here.
This merry-go-round that we put together had at least 40 different pieces, individual pieces that need to get bolted down.
It's hard work, as you can tell.
We've just assembled it, and now we're about to flip it over to its side. I guess it's got to be balanced when it goes. And then we're going to lift up and then on to the main compartment here.
It's been a total team effort. Total team effort.
The merry-go-round charges the generator that charges these lanterns, that gives energy to these lanterns, and the kids use them to study, both in the classroom and then they actually take them home. The merry-go-round generates the energy, plus a lot of fun for kids. Yeah?
This beautiful merry-go-round is going to generate power for you, the kids, to learn, so that you also can become good leaders and good mothers and fathers.
As you have seen here, our children come from distant places, some about 4.5 miles away to this school. They walk in and out every day because of learning to become useful future beings.
Thank you very much for letting me access one of the teachers to thanks, appreciate what you people have done. Hope you are going to use this equipment very well so that in the near future some of us too becomes like you. Thank you very much.
We're building a culture in Viridian, and for a long time it's been much more than energy. And I think this just, solidifies that, makes it very apparent to everybody that our mission is sustainability, helping people, helping the environment. This is who we are, this is our core.
That's a really powerful program. The idea of combining recognition with service must be really meaningful to your associates. And speaking of associates, we've been joined by two of them, Jenna Marzullo and David Milos. We'll talk to you guys in a moment, but first, to provide some context, I want to ask Michael about Viridian's marketing strategy. Viridian doesn't use much advertising to build its business. You spoke a little bit about this earlier, but you use what you describe as network marketing or relationship marketing, with the messages being delivered by independent associates like Jenna and David, and by them to their families and friends. Can you tell us why you chose that model and how it works?
Network marketing is sort of a, I believe is really the most powerful marketing channel of any marketing channel, where traditional marketing companies will go out and pay for billboards or for mailers. We don't do any of that. Our advertising is done by our independent associates who represent the company and are able to distribute the product to their friends and families and their warm market and spheres of influence. I think what's really neat, what got me excited about choosing network marketing is a distribution channel that allowed us to position the company the way we wanted to. We've talked a lot about how the company is all about green energy, the company is all about sustainability. You actually can't do that through a mailer. You can't communicate values and a mission on a piece of paper. You need someone who can communicate, can talk about it, can tell you what the company's about and what you're part of, right? You're part of a movement, a mission. And so network marketing gives us that passion, that what really drives the company every day.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about that there are a lot of seemingly too good to be true kind of issues that people have to get over to get in, and that's a trust component. And I think knowing the person who's telling you the story is a big help and getting over that trust hurdle as well. Let's speak to Jenna first. Jenna was the very first independent Viridian associate. She's been with the company from the beginning and is uniquely suited to tell us about the Associates program. As I understand it, the program represents an interesting way for people to earn money while spreading the word about Viridian and helping green the grid. So Jenna, please tell us how the program works, why it appealed to you, and what your experience has been with it.
Oh, it's absolutely been incredible. It's almost coming up on 3 years now. Actually, it was September 18th, 2009. I remember the date very well. I was able to sit with Michael, and he really shared with me his vision about the company and about what we were about to do. And, you know, I've always had really a passion for the environment. It's always been something that's been so important to me to educate people. And so through this business model, John, I just find that it's so incredible that essentially I get paid to educate people and to bring value to their lives. Nice. Whether it's through savings, whether it's through, again, you know, sharing that passion that we have for the environment. It has been an incredible experience for me personally. I've been able to work with amazing organizations, amazing individuals, and all the while be able to support myself financially. So I'm really grateful.
Have you brought other people into the program? Obviously, I guess you have.
I sure have, John.
More than one.
Yeah, more than one? How many people do you have under you?
Oh my goodness, I think we're climbing up on 25,000 independent associates that have come in under 3 years. And again, that's a testament to the vision of Michael and the model that he chose. Again, choosing not to go with traditional advertising and really allowing this model to empower us as individuals. I mean, it's a tough economy out there. You know, I was struggling. I'm a small business owner from Connecticut, and I wasn't able to generate an income for myself. And being so passionate about helping others, this was something that I found was really easy for me to step into. And it has been, again, a huge blessing in more ways than one.
Well, and we had a conversation earlier about how nice it is to be able to feel such passion about the work you're doing too. Yeah. I worked a lot of years in a business, but there was nowhere near the doing good component that is associated with what you're doing. I mean, all of this effort is going to greening the grid ultimately and saving people money. That must feel great.
It's a feeling I don't know if I can quite even put into words, to be honest, because I've never experienced the joy that I get from watching other people succeed and knowing that my success depends on literally helping other people succeed is such an incredible feeling that when I lay my head down at night, I feel such a sense of peace and joy just knowing all of the good that we're doing. It's been incredible.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask David a question because, David, you're here to represent and explain to our viewers about the residual fundraising program that Viridian has put in place, which again is something I find pretty unusual, and it helps nonprofits support themselves by getting them engaged in making their associates aware of this proposition. David Milos is the business director at Blue Star Aquaculture, which is a working horse sanctuary and organic farm in Palmer, Mass. Blue Star has recently become an independent associate of Viridian in order to help raise the funds necessary to pursue their mission. David, tell our viewers, if you would, a little about Blue Star's mission and how the residual funding program works to help you meet your goals.
Thanks, John. Yeah, Blue Star is a draft horse rescue and organic farm, and we, at any given time, have 30 horses we care for. Our mission is helping horses, humans, and Mother Earth. So a big part of it, of course, is the Mother Earth aspect as well as the horses. Our horses come from Connecticut, all over the New England. We have horses from Central Park. They do history tours. They're horses that have served their need for most people and have nowhere else to go. Sometimes they end up at slaughters. We take them in and provide them with a good life, a comfortable life, and in some cases we try to find homes for them. We've actually found homes for over 80 horses over the course of the last 3 years. We've been in business since 2009.
You also offer the environmental component of your mission is really important to you guys, and one of the things you demonstrate is how horses can be an eco-friendly source of power by integrating them into farm work.
Exactly. The horses that we do take in that are still capable of working, and that's at least half of them, we are teaching eco-farming or draft horse farming at UMass. We have a course at UMass that we're teaching students how to farm with draft horses. And again, we have an organic farm, and of course it's all used by horsepower. And we have a saying on the farm saying, going green takes real horsepower.
I think you guys do amazing work, but I'm curious about how you're funded.
Again, being a nonprofit, our funds comes from individual donations and corporations. And one of the great things is when we stumbled upon Viridian, we were so excited because it's so on track with our mission. Again, part of our mission being environmental and them selling green products. It was just an unbelievable opportunity. All we have to do is tell our members about this product, educate them about these green opportunities, and help them enroll, and Viridian then provides us with revenue for every meter we convert.
Does it cost money for the nonprofits to join the program?
No, and that's one of the best parts about it. Viridian charges absolutely nothing for nonprofits to sign up. They get all the funding, all the marketing material they need. They get their own personal website. So all they have to do is send their members to the website to sign up. And again, as Michael said, it takes 5 minutes to sign up. It's a real simple process. Saving money, helping the planet, and helping a nonprofit. What an amazing win-win-win opportunity.
Well said. And I'll just say on your behalf and on the behalf of other nonprofits who might consider this opportunity, one of the reasons I'm here is that I was connected and knew the folks at Blue Star. And I watched them spend the vast majority of their time trying to raise the funds to do their work, instead of actually being able to devote their amazing energy to the mission itself. And so what Viridian is doing here for not-for-profits is freeing them up from the work of getting up every single day and trying to figure out where the next dollar is coming from and actually being able to pursue their calling. So that's the role that's being played. It's free for nonprofits to get in. And we're going to be, if people are interested in taking advantage of either of these opportunities, either to be part of the process of educating folks and earn some residual income as associates, or as a not-for-profit to be able to get the funds to support their mission, how do they get in contact and learn more about this?
They can call me. The number's on the front here, 413-324-8BSE, or they can go to our website, which is equiculture.org. And I'll tell everybody and anything they need to know about signing up.
You better spell equiculture.
EQUICULTURE.org.
Thank you, David. As we conclude our conversation, I want to return to Michael for a final moment. Michael, this is such an unusual company. What is your long-term vision for Viridian? It seems to be, and we've talked about pieces of it, much broader than simply providing a greener alternative for energy supply. But what do you consider the future?
Gosh, it's a great question. I just have to start by saying how much I love what I do. Dave and I met for the first time today, and I have just learned so much about his business. And the neat part about what we get to do is the people we interact with, people we get to help, and what a great organization, great mission. Couldn't be more excited about being affiliated with them. But really, what the future of this company is about is we have a simple mission: individual choice, collective impact. Finding people, getting people involved in really making a very simple, easy choice about their energy supply, choosing higher quality green. Our goal, what we want to do is we want to raise the bar for everybody. We want to be the standard that everybody sets themselves to. So we talked about earlier, when competition raises to our level, there's nothing that makes us prouder as a company, because that means everybody's adhering to the direction we want to go as a company. Our hope, really where we see ourselves going is, we want to be everywhere in North America we can. We want to provide a competitive product that's really going to take us from a couple 100,000 customers to 1 million customers and well beyond. I think the impact we can do simply from the green energy supply is amazing. But when you combine that with the good we can do, both through our programs like the local initiatives and the global initiatives, but the impact you have with Dave's organization or Jenna or any of our associates, the ripple effects are really mind-boggling.
Well, you certainly are in a hotbed, as you said earlier, for folks who, in their own hearts, are very supportive of what you're trying to do. So I would just say to the residents of Massachusetts, most times it's a trade-off to do the right thing and be green. This seems to be an opportunity where there's no trade-off, and I sure would encourage you, if you're moved, to join up. Michael, Jenna, and David, I want to thank you for coming and sharing this information with our viewers. I think it was time really well spent.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
You're welcome.
Excellent.